Welcome to this week's A Story to Tell with me, Richard Beauvoisin. An interview I did here on Radio Bath was with Grace Farrimond from Young Blooms in Bradford-on-Avon. She was an amazing guest, had lots and lots of laughs for this one. It's all about going into the Chelsea Flower Show, how to look after flowers, and lots of other things as well. Hope you enjoy. Love that track. Madonna, Open Your Heart. It's Richard Beauvoisin here until midday today. So on our second hour, in our section which we call A Story to Tell, we've gone from broadband, we're now on to flowers. I have the amazing Grace Farrimond sat in front of me. Good morning, Grace. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Very well, thank you.
Oh, I haven't been called sir for a while.
It was my tactic in the flower shop. If I didn't know the name of the person coming in, the best thing is just say, hello, sir, and it works a treat.
Very good. Now, the trouble is, you see, is I'm ex-military.
Oh.
So, yeah, I know. So the automatic thing, when everybody says, because I wasn't a commissioned officer.
Okay.
So the automatic response, if somebody says to me, good morning, sir, is you'd always say, I worked for a living.
Oh,
you see, because the officers apparently didn't work for a living. So
well, you weren't Sandhurst then, were you?
I wasn't. No, I didn't do my office. No.
Oh, okay.
I could have, but no, I was an engineer.
Excellent.
So I worked. I fixed planes and helicopters.
Saved everyone else then. That's
honestly, people out there they're living their lives because of what I did in the RAF. They really are.
And the time is?
Or not, as the case may be. So, anyway. So Grace is here. She runs a flower shop in Bradford-on-Avon. Tell us all about the flower shop, Grace.
So I'm based at an amazing farm shop I love dearly called Hartley Farm Shop. So it's just up the hill from here, really.
It is?
I started my business with my sister-in-law, actually, when I was... Oh, this is a long story. So,
that's all right.
Started going out with my husband, and his sister was science teacher and then retraining as a florist. And we joked about setting up a business. I come from as my mother used to say, a family of entrepreneurs.
Oh, darling.
She was a bit eccentric. So we were all self-employed. And me and Laura joked about setting a business up and then decided to do it and pretty much hoofed together some business cards. I'd worked part-time through university as a florist, and we sort of cobbled together a portfolio and went and did our first wedding fair, which was hilarious because I think we got one wedding and nearly wet ourselves with excitement. And that was about 16 years ago. So I've had Young Blooms for that length of time.
Okay, so Young Blooms is the name of the florist?
Yes.
Okay, and is there a website?
There is, youngblooms.co.uk.
.co.uk, Young
Lovely.
Blooms. I should do a radio voice.
You should. You've got a good voice for it.
Yeah, do you know what I said to somebody the other day? It was a horrific moment. I said to them, you've got a great face for radio.
It's like the biggest insult ever.
I meant to say, and I was chatting to them, and they actually were a radio presenter, and I was meant to say to them they had a great voice for radio.
Oh, bless you.
And it was a genuine slip-up. And they did have a great voice for radio.
Accidentally punch yourself around the face as a way of apologising.
And their reply to me was, you've got a great face for TV. And I was like...
how'd you come back from that?
I know, I literally got a spade and just dug.
Ran into a hedge or something. Gosh.
That is all
Brings
I
me
did.
out a rash.
Now, we have had a question in, and it's a question in from my daughter, okay, who's 7 years old, right?
Excellent.
And I love this question, okay? So the question is, how did you start your love for flowers?
And that's a gorgeous question.
Isn't it?
Because normally you get the really annoying question of what's your favourite flower? Oh, I can't be bothered with that. But what started my love of flowers is probably my mother. So my slightly eccentric mother. I'm one of 7 kids. I have 6 brothers.
Okay.
I'm the bottom of the pile, so youngest. And I think Mum was delightfully non-emotional, but the way she showed her love with me was through creativity. So I did gardening. My granny was a gardener as well, and that probably started me off in flowers. Gardening. But, I mean, the things I remember, like having to weed the flipping blackberry patch, that's my starter for 10. That's how I got into horticulture. So probably granny and my mum. And then I did one of my brother's weddings, so I was 18, I think. Me and Mum did it together. And it was awful because I think my sister-in-law's bouquet fell apart as she walked back up the aisle, which is probably not the best thing.
Not really. Not great advertising.
No, don't go to Young Blooms. Their bouquets fell apart. No, come on, I was 18, so
That's fair enough.
what did I know? Didn't know which way up was at that point. So yeah, that was my in to floristry. And I think my family very much had that sort of attitude of, you can do something, you might not know how you're going to do it, but my parents very much gave me the confidence to think, oh, well, I can do it. Even if I don't know how to do it, I'll find a way.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that aspect of my job, is that you'll go into, big venues and brides say to you, okay, I want you to build a pampas grass cloud in the marquee. Can you do it? And your first thing is, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And you walk out and you think,
how am I going to do that?
well, I mean, I remember it when Laura and I we did a wedding, and the bride wanted an archway in the church, inside the church. And I said, yeah, of course, no problem. Walked back out, and Laura said, you ever made an archway before? I was like, no. How are we going to do it? I don't know. We'll make it up as we go along. But you learn, that's experience. And I think that's what I love about my job. I get to do stuff I've never done before.
That's brilliant. Now, my wife will tell anybody that wants to listen about my skills for wrapping up Christmas and birthday presents.
Oh, are you good?
I couldn't be further from good if you tried. I had to wrap up something which I'd sold on Facebook Marketplace yesterday. And there's this big load of cardboard, and I have to say, it wasn't pretty.
Did you put a ribbon on the top?
I didn't put a ribbon on the top. No, it used bodge tape. That's how good this was.
Okay, good.
It wasn't pretty. Okay,
I'd like a picture.
I would say I can show you one if you want. I would say that my skill set for being a florist is probably not the right one.
Do you know? I would have hated you. I would have hated you at university, because I think I worked part time. I found a brilliant florist. I was at Oxford Brookes. And that was purely so my mother could say my daughter went to Oxford.
Absolutely.
Naturellement. Yeah. Florist shop. And all my friends' boyfriends would go, Grace, I bought some flowers. Can you arrange them? And there's supermarket flowers. And you're like, come on. There's boundaries here.
Yeah.
And they would literally just take the wrapping off and dump them into a vase.
I've never done that.
Of course you have. Of course you have. Everyone does it. My husband's learned.
Has he?
Yeah.
I was going to say, has your husband ever bought you supermarket flowers?
Right, let's precursor this with, my husband's an ex-doctor.
Okay.
And to his credit, he learned how to make a hand tie. So as much as he will go and buy supermarket flowers, he will arrange them appropriately. So, that's why the marriage has lasted.
You're still going. I might need to take some tips from you. I think I might need to buy my wife some flowers at the moment.
Well, you now know a florist, so good.
I do know a florist.
Well done.
On the way home from here, I might be popping into Hartley Farm to buy some flowers from you. So
look forward to it. Wildly excited.
You make a sale from coming to Radio Bath.
That's good.
So talking about sales and stuff, obviously we're suffering with the cost of living crisis at the moment. Is being, people buying flowers, is that kind of being affected by all of that?
I mean, it's really interesting. I think when, was it probably back in the autumn, and people started talking about the word recession, I was like, oh my gosh. And then thought to myself, actually, we started in 2007. So 2008 was the massive crash, and we survived that.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if it happens, it happens. I mean, the prices, they went up. I think, we can lay the blame for it firmly at the door of Brexit. But I think as an industry, we were told something like to expect, was it anything between 12 to 20% price increase.
Okay.
So, I'm awful at maths, which is hilarious because I run my own business. But so stem of Lysianthus, you won't know what that is. It looks like a rose.
Thank you.
Well done. So normally, summertime, you'd probably buy a stem, I don't know, 50, 60p a stem plus VAT. And it's now on average 150 a stem. So, and that's become normal now. You can't really get it much below that. So that kind of across the board. But, I mean, one of my game plans for my business is I want to get to a point where I'm selling purely for my events. I'm using British grown flowers.
Okay.
And that's my next move. So gradually I've got 3 or 4 growers who I use locally and grow myself. Because I think environmentally as well. Yeah. It's been a good selling point because I've grown for sort of 10 years at Hartley. And I sit in the coffee shop with them, have a meeting, talk about the wedding, and then I can point, my garden is... 100 metres that way.
And Harley Farm is a lovely place as well,
it's
isn't
amazing.
it? We used to go there. So we used to do the swimming on the little farm next door.
Church farm. Mm-hmm.
And we used to always go to Harley Farm afterwards for a cup of coffee. And I was
lovely.
And I was even there for a 50th birthday party the other week. So
lovely.
So yeah, it's with line dancing and everything.
Oh, wow.
It was all good. Now let's go for this. Okay, so I have bought flowers.
Right.
From the supermarket.
Yes.
I've dumped them in a vase.
Yes.
And 3 days later they're
die. Dead. Yeah, there's a surprise.
How can I make that happen in regards to make them last longer? Apart from, obviously, buy flowers from youngblooms.co.uk from Hartley Farm.
Your voice change is amazing.
I know, thanks.
If you're going to... the first things you learn as a florist is how to condition flowers. So on a Thursday, if I've got events, and as today, I'm going around my growers, picking up flowers and taking them back to the workshop to start work. The delivery comes from the wholesaler from Bristol, and he's dropped all our flowers off, and one of my team have put them into water, and they've done the conditioning for me, which I love dearly. So conditioning, so you think about a supermarket bunch of flowers, it's got cellophane around it. It's probably been cut a week before that, maybe, I don't know, 3-4 days, I'm not sure. So, and then it's dumped in a bucket in the supermarket. And let's just note that supermarkets use flowers as a loss leader, so they don't make money on them.
Okay.
Which I think is the kibosh to many a high street florist. So not so good. But anyway, you've picked your sweaty bunch of flowers up, wrapped in cellophane. You bring them home, take the cellophane off. The first thing is to strip all of the foliage off from each stem. Probably like a quarter of it. So when you're putting a stem into the vase, there's no foliage hitting water, because that creates, I don't know what it creates, bacteria.
Okay.
Horribleness. So you want clear stems that hit water. You also want to cut the stems probably at an angle, so the amount.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah. And that's about it. I mean, to make sure the vase is clean before you can use a touch of bleach.
I've heard that as well, to put in some bleach in there.
You know it all. Why are you asking me? Why am I here?
I've heard it, but it doesn't mean I do it.
Well, there's another 2-hour conversation in itself, isn't it? The patriarchy. Let's start.
It's quite often we know what we're meant to be doing, but whether we do it or not, as always, is a different thing.
There's the rub.
They're indeed so. So that's how I look after flowers if I buy them from supermarket.
Yes.
Now, if I wanted to come to Young Blooms at Hartley Farm and kind of learn how to put flowers together, do you do anything like that to help?
Yeah, I love teaching. I mean, I've got an online flower school, so I have a YouTube channel, which I do sort of try and do short videos to help, because I think one thing about our industry, when I first started, no one talked to anyone. Everyone was competition. And I think, especially with the explosion of sort of growers, people are much more willing to help. There's that. I have YouTube, I have an online flower school, and also do workshops.
Wow.
And also do, they're great fun. So I do hen parties, and the new sort of, it's been around for 2-3 years, but they'll make flower crowns.
Oh yeah.
So that's hilarious. I mean, you get 20 women in a room, and they'll probably start drinking Prosecco straight away.
Cannot imagine that.
Oh, it's bliss. It's bliss. I love it. No, but it's brilliant though, because I think, the conversation will go quiet. Everyone starts sort of pootling, making their crowns. But I think it's like you switch your brain off, because you're just using something that's natural, organic, and you're being creative. And I think, how often do we sit without a screen anywhere near us and just make? So I think teaching, I can't remember the word I use all the time. I probably have pat phrases that I come out in workshops. That's a beautiful structure you've got there, and good use of foliage.
Do you know, I love the phrase when I'm doing teaching and somebody's struggling to do something. I say I'm a dance teacher. Is I love the phrase of it's underdevelopment. So, and I do premise it by saying I'm joking about this next phrase, but yes, it's still under development, isn't it? So yeah. Well, we're going to have a little break for music. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about the fact that Grace is off to the Chelsea Flower Show, which will be amazing. And if you do have any questions about flowers or anything you want to ask her about at all, it's studio@radiobath.com if you want to put any questions to her. She's here till midday today, so we're back after this. There's Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson there. It's Richard Beauvoisin here till midday today on Radio Bath. So we're back with Grace Farrimond from Young Blooms.
Hello.
Hello. And you're going to the Chelsea Flower Show.
Yes.
How did you get to do that?
That's a very good question. So I first went to the Chelsea Flower Show with my mother when I was about 10. And that was my, obviously my first experience. And I think through the years I've gone at various points and thought I've always wanted to do the floristry section. So in the massive main marquee, there's kind of a corner where florists do installations. And I mean, they're pieces of art. They're stunning. Yeah. And I've always chickened out, I think, probably. And this year, for some reason, I managed to pull it together and send off a design brief before the date was gone, and then just had that delightful wait of about 2 months, and then just got an email going, "Congratulations, you're in.
Wow!
Here's the contract. Let's get going."
I suppose you've got that thought process of you need to plan but don't plan. Exactly,
and I think that's how do you do that? And also, because I think it was December or end of November, December time, so the design got sent off, and then didn't hear until March, and I'd kind of forgotten what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, rubbish. I'm going to have to actually do this now. And it's really interesting because it's like, for me, it's tipping the design on its head. So normally couples will come to me and say, we're thinking about doing this. And you go, okay, I can create something like that. I've had I have experience. This, I had the design drawn, but essentially no idea how I'm going to make it, because I've just gone, well, I've got a rough idea in my head of what it's going to look like, but mechanics wise, not a clue.
So are you one of the big picture people, and then you have people around you that go, this is then how we're going to do it?
You always have people.
Right.
People are important. So I have a brilliant team. They are marvellous, and they mostly involve my next door neighbours.
Okay.
Because, a chap called Craig, he works with me, and he's brilliant. So we do weddings together, and I'll go to him 2 weeks before an event and say, so we've got to build a 7-foot archway around a church door. Let's go. And I don't know what the mechanic's going to look like, and we kind of bash it around, and he's learnt how I work, and we pull it off. So we'll kind of talk about, well, I've got a bit of this piping and we could use a bit of this, and so he's excellent. And Carol is coming as well, and she's a whiz at I think I like people who can work alongside me and just get on with things.
Yeah.
So they're creative, they've got ability, they're not shy about coming forward, or whatever the expression is, and they're happy to just go. And probably that's the level of confidence. So Craig and Carol, and then I've got an amazing, so Katie, she's a garden designer, she's coming as well. So yeah, I don't understand if someone did it by themselves, man alive, I'd be dead by the week. The week is done.
So when is the Chelsea Flower Show, and how long does it last for then?
It lasts for a week. So the main big garden designers are going in now. They're building their gardens from now. So they're what's that, 2-3 weeks of build, and then it's a week of the show. And the show's incredible. The level of design is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they make it look easy, but it's not.
No, I mean, again, just going back to my wife, I'm not the biggest fan of wandering around garden centres. So no. I'm guessing the Chelsea Flower Show isn't just like wandering around a garden centre, for those who haven't been.
Very much no. What's the Chelsea Flower Show like? I mean, it's the biggest group of chino wearing, floral dress wearing, Panama hat wearing people. It's that ilk, and it's wonderful because, the weather's normally good, but the fascinating thing with Chelsea is everything's at its peak.
Yeah.
Everything looks amazing. And the design work of the gardens is phenomenal. And then the marquee's mad, because you get all the growers who'll go in with their perfect chrysanthemums and their, sempervivians that are just incredible. So they're showing all of that stuff off, and people can, they can go into the marquee and buy all the plants. Never go on a Saturday, because it's like carnage, because they're like a massive sell-off at the end. So you'll see people on the tube with these half-dead flowers. I
was going to ask you that. So you've got all these flowers that you're going to be doing for the actual event.
Yeah.
How long are you there for?
The whole week.
The whole week?
Well,
and then
yeah.
what happens to all these flowers afterwards?
Well, this is so for me. The big part of my design is that it's entirely compostable and recyclable. I can never say that word. At the end, so I will reuse elements of the design in weddings further on down through the summer.
Okay.
I can take it apart, and I don't think, to a certain extent, there'll be much waste at all, which ticks many a box for me. I think that's good.
And can you tell us a bit more about your design if it's not top secret?
Oh, no. So we got told when we first got accepted, like, mum's the word, zip,
right.
Don't tell anyone. And then, thankfully, the embargo got lifted.
I was going to say it's not working very well if that's still the case. You're live on radio.
Never mind. So the embargo got lifted and we could start talking, which was great. So there's two ones that I could go for. Essentially, I went for one that was an award. Like, what's the point of doing this massive thing if you're not going to get some form of glory out of it? So either an oil drum or a lamppost. And I went for a lamppost because I found the oil drum was like, well, what do you do with it? So lamppost, I'm essentially building a tree around a lamppost. So it's a bit left field. I went to the pub with Craig in December and went, so I'm thinking about doing a tree around a lamppost. What do you think? And he was like, great, let's get a pint. And not to say it wasn't a back of an envelope sort of job, but it pretty much was. And we sort of did a rough sketch at that point. And we're going to base it around a strangler fig tree, which is really interesting. I'd never come across them before, but Craig loves them. Strangler figs, I think, are kind of jungle, Asian. I'm not a details person, but they're really interesting. So the bird will drop the seed of the tree in the top of another tree. The tree grows down, doesn't create roots until it hits ground. Essentially, while it's doing that, it kills the tree underneath it. So, you could see it that and think, gosh, that's a bit dark. But I think, to me, it says resilience.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. Nature is phenomenal. And I like that about it. So it's while death is happening, new life is also happening at the same time.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the Chelsea Flower Show doesn't come cheap. So as a business, it must be quite kind of, you run your own business and you're thinking, right, I've got all of this expense. So what are you hoping to get out of doing the Chelsea Flower Show? I
think there's a big part of me, for me, it's bucket list.
Right.
It's something that it's going to take me completely out of my comfort zone. And equally, I'm prepared for that. But equally, it's something I want to tick off my list. In terms of my business, I think I will be fascinated to see what the result is. I think it'll be kudos for me, especially if I get a medal. That's like happy days. And I dropped some wedding flowers off a couple of weeks to the bride a couple of weeks ago. Walked into the hotel room and she was like, oh, here's my Chelsea Flower Show florist. I was like, what are you looking at? And then you realise, they've seen the Instagram post in there. And it's that thing of, with social media especially, is you always forget that people are watching.
Yeah.
So I think that's, as a small business, I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. And I think also that week we'll be meeting a lot of interesting people.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that.
Well, one of the things I find fascinating is, I know we discussed earlier on this week about the picture I used for our social media of what we put out. So it was you with a 4th birthday. I'm guessing it wasn't your 4th birthday.
No.
So, but I saw that picture and I thought, not only do I want to talk to that person, I want to buy from that person as well, just from that one picture. I'm guessing connections is the other thing you're looking for from the Chelsea Flower Show.
Completely. And I think as a small business, for me, relationship is a massive part of running your own business. And I think when I meet couples, weddings are my sort of bread and butter, and they're a big part of my business. And I think when you meet a couple, the first thing I want to do is crack their humour. If I can crack their humour, I'm in. Yeah. But if you don't realise that people buy from people, if you don't realise that, then you're going to struggle. And I think people buy me as much as my flowers. And you have to be able to instill that confidence if you know what you're doing, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But equally, you have to feel comfortable with that person, that they get you, that you get them. Relationship-wise. And it's also that sense of, this is a community that's building this piece for me. It's not just me building it. Yeah. It's all the connections that, so we're using compost at the base of the design that my brother's giving me. So I make my own compost up at Hartley, so using food waste and and all that kind of stuff. But my brother John, he's more of a geek, and he's got better compost than I have. So I told him that I'm his only sister and I'm the bestest sister in the world, and he needs to give me his compost.
You are his favourite sister.
Exactly, because he hasn't got any others.
There you go.
There you go. It's a good thing to pop in there. So John's giving me the compost. My other brother designed or drew the original design for me. Multiple people are coming in and helping. So I'm really aware of that. I'm really grateful that I get to be allowed to do this, but equally with the help of a lot of other information and people and experience.
That sounds amazing. Remind us of the website again very quickly.
It's youngblooms.co.uk.
Youngblooms.co.uk. I'll do a little radio voice for you if you like.
Thank you.
You can have that just on me.
Warm and friendly feeling.
We're going to have a quick break for music. We've got a request actually from Grace here. So we're going to hear a little bit of Ella Fitzgerald, which I can't wait to do as well. And then we're back, of course. You know what's coming up. It's the all-important quick fire round. So here's a bit of Ella first. Lullaby Birdland.
Oh, lullaby of birdland, that's what I always hear when you sigh. Never much for money, money can buy me love, buy me love.
The Beatles and Can't Buy Me Love. Before that we had Ella Fitzgerald and Lullaby of Birdland, a song I'd never heard before. Do you know that one particularly?
No, I think I've grown up with it probably.
Yeah.
It's
nice.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Right, we are here with lovely Grace, and we're on to the quick fire round then. So, as always, the first question in the quick fire round is, what is your favourite ice cream?
Crisps.
Okay, so do you know, I was talking to Grace off air a minute ago, and I was saying, you never quite know where the quick fire round's going to go, and nobody's come up with crisps yet. So
I'm excited. That's good. It means I'm an original.
You are definitely an original. So crisps is your favourite ice cream? Oh,
just like hands down. You come back from doing 2-3 weddings in a weekend. Glass of wine. I'm not an alcoholic. Don't worry. Glass of wine and a large bag of crisps, and you think, I'll just eat half, and then you know full well that wine will have gone and the bag of crisps will have gone.
Okay, so I'm going to rephrase the question just for you.
Okay, good.
Favourite flavour of crisps?
Oh, not a clue which way the wind blows.
Okay.
Yeah, at the moment it's lightly salted.
Lightly
I'm happy
salted.
with those.
Okay, you're not like a sweet chilli person.
No, they blow your head off.
Okay.
What's the point of a crisp if it's going to blow your head off?
Yeah, fair enough.
No.
Balsamic onion and vinegar.
Oh, darling. Lovely.
Yes, indeed.
Lovely.
Are you tidy or messy?
Messy.
Messy, I love it.
Yeah.
Why are you messy?
I'm not a clue, and my therapist would probably have to answer that question. No, not to you. So when I was first married with my husband, his house, he moved into by himself, was immaculate, beige. Everything was whatever it is, in alphabetical order. It was a show home.
Okay.
I moved in.
Not so much.
Not so much. Chaotic, our friends, and my husband refers to me as chaotic. I think
that's okay.
So, yeah, I'm kind of learning to, I have moments where I'm tidy.
Yeah.
But if you saw, I wouldn't take my my customers into my workshop.
Okay.
That's why I meet in the coffee shop.
Fair enough. And Hartley Farm is always well presented. Love or hate roller coasters?
Hate them.
Hate them.
Stupid things. What's the point?
I love them.
No.
Yeah. I take my big kids around them.
No.
It's
absolutely not. Give me a sports car, Aston Martin DB9. I'm happy.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's that's still quick.
But it doesn't go upside down, does it?
It doesn't. So have you done race days and stuff?
Yes.
Have you?
Great fun.
They're scary though, aren't they?
No. They're just good fun. Right. I was in an Aston Martin. My husband had bought me one of those experiences.
Yeah.
And the lovely paddles on the side, so you've no gear stick or anything. And he said, you probably need to change gear now. Go up. I said, how fast are we going? He said, 135 miles an hour. I was like, and I'm in heaven.
Yeah, and in second gear.
That's the thing. Well.
Excluding social media, so no Facebook, Twitter, nothing like that, or music apps, do you have a favourite game to play on your phone or computer, as we had before?
No, because they're stupid. I'd rather read a book or do some knitting or crochet or go in the garden.
Fair enough. What's your favourite book? Do you have a favourite book or type of book?
know, because I've probably got about 7 books on the go at the moment. I like all sorts.
Books.
We didn't have a telly as kids.
Okay.
So I was a ferocious reader. I can read a book in, I don't know, half a day. My husband takes about 6 months.
Yeah.
So I love reading.
Wow.
It's bliss. Though I'm slightly addicted to TikTok, so that probably, there's the rub.
Yeah,
There's the rub.
I haven't quite got into TikTok yet.
Oh,
As a 48-year-old
lethal.
man,
It's lethal.
It's
Yeah.
It's just the endless scrolling, isn't it?
It's the downfall.
I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to find out anyway. Do you make your bed in the morning?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
So you're messy, but you still make your bed?
I saw one of those ridiculous Facebook posts from some... it's ex-military. I think we
Okay.
can blame the military for this one. And it was some general or something. And he said, if you make your bed in the morning, you'll know that you've at least achieved something. I was like, yeah, there's wisdom in that. So, yes, I think there's nothing... Like, we went away on holiday. I scared myself slightly. Before we went away on holiday, I made the bed.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, I changed the sheets. And then got back from holiday. And to get into a clean bed when you're, day of travelling, bliss.
It's amazing, isn't it? It really is.
Okay.
What's your favourite breakfast?
Poached eggs on toast.
Oh, sounds good. Any sauces?
No?
No, just poached eggs on toast.
Poached eggs on toast.
And how do you
A
make
little
your
bit
poached egg?
Oh, yeah, you should go and Google my husband. Poached eggs. You saucepan, swirl the water around, dump them in.
Yeah.
It takes as long as the toaster. So put a piece of
Okay.
toast in, and then as soon as it's popped, the eggs are done.
Ah,
That's
I
my
like
theory.
that method. Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
No, I did karaoke once when I was about 18, and it scared the living daylights out of me. And I think, unfortunately, I had no choice, and it was Britney Spears.
Oops, I Did It Again?
Probably.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Did you do it in a group of people, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't realise I'd done a music degree, so no, never again.
You never know. Favourite TV programme or film or anything like that?
Oh gosh, Shawshank Redemption's got to be a fabulous one. I really enjoyed the Godfather. Is it the Godfather?
Yeah.
I want to watch. I think I've watched one. I was halfway through 2, but again, my husband doesn't like them, so I'd have to sit through.
Okay.
Watch it by myself. But I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, no, they're amazing films. They really are. And your last question then, Grace, is if you came back in your next life as an animal, which one would you be and why? I love this question.
Do people genuinely think about this?
Well, they do when I ask them. Outside that, I'm not sure many people think about it.
Don't believe in reincarnation.
Do you know, I was having this conversation with somebody earlier today. It's very scary you said that. It's like, I always ask this question. I think, well, what if somebody really has an offence to that? But yeah, just on a theoretical moment. So
I think I'm going to sidestep that question and say I'll be in heaven, so it'll be fine.
Fair enough. You can have that answer.
Yeah,
That's no problem at all. Grace, remind us of the website again and where you're based.
So based at Hartley Farm Shop, and the website is youngblooms.co.uk.
You've been an amazing guest today. Really enjoyed speaking to you.
Pleasure.
And we're going to hope to get you back in once you've had your experience at the Chelsea Flower Show.
Still alive.
If you're still alive, which you will be. So thank you so much for coming into Radio Bath today.
Pleasure.